Look, people at World Health Sovereignty Summit, I don't have whatever that light is you guys got going on, but it's also because I've pretty much been genetically engineered to be a virus for a long time. I think that's what my student loan was supposed to pay for. The second one. The first one was supposed to be about non-proliferation and other matters connected to Russia. But that got hijacked when I didn't agree to some sort of women's center that now appears to be a global bordello. And so I got transferred, and part of what ended up happening is they got on that nuke option they had from when China did that nuclear test on my birthday when I was graduating high school. And apparently, rather than allow me to work with China on cybersecurity, which I probably would have been good at, and assist with port security so that we didn't end up defaulting on the megaport plan, that they decided, you know what, we're going to use her to make a biological weapon. And we're going to use her whole life to make a biological weapon so that we can terrorize people into agreeing to prostitution, including prostitution involving children. But somebody wants to say I defaulted or I didn't pay because I won't masturbate on command. So I don't know how to communicate this message to you, but there's this very important matter in your reflection on your summit, your little montage. And I think it's very important to discuss the relationship between specific telecommunications deals that have happened in the last year, and especially this effort to try to make this look like it's China in origin. I believe it's actually some sort of cooperation between certain elements that may or may not have Chinese interests financing them and certain elements that may or may not have American interests financing them. But I think a very crucial point of intersection, one way or another, has to do with a proposal that Ant Financial made to acquire MoneyGram. And my understanding is what happened is that there was this agreement, and that Ant Financial and MoneyGram were going to have a merger. There was going to be an acquisition, but then the Department of Commerce got involved and subjected it to some sort of review. And I didn't know about this while it was happening, that that was what was happening. But I knew as early as New Year's Eve of 2018 that somebody had me working some real high time, high stakes Chinese account that they wanted to characterize in a certain manner. But, whether or not that gelled or not did not. And then around the time of Chinese New Year, something big started happening. But the situation I was in and what I was connected to meant that it was hacked very, very significantly, specifically when it came to maritime navigation satellite technology. And it wasn't until after the Department of Commerce dumped the deal and said that Ant Financial was not going to be allowed to acquire MoneyGram, and I had to work the toxic wave off. And then the next day, I was able to correlate with public notices, that's what it is, that I realized that's what I had spent the whole last year doing. Now, my concern was that I had already encountered them when I was trying to investigate acts of terrorism that were financed in connection with what was alleged to be a bad check through Bank of America. That something correlated it with interests that were associated with that deal. The not so ironic thing is that, if I am correct, MoneyGram ended up getting acquired by the same company that acquired major options from Toshiba after the bankruptcy and after Cameco required TEPCO to honor its contract for purchasing uranium, despite the fact there's still a clusterfuck at Fukushima no one's cleaned up. This is absolutely 100% related to what was discussed as part of your summit. And I hate to acknowledge this because it's terrible, because I told them, I said, hey, I got forged documents. I'm having a problem with my documents. It just so happens that the birth certificate I had that was coded to an effort to launder shit with that Ant Financial deal was dated for approximately dated for around the time of one of the patents you mentioned. Literally, the patent that you talk about being suspect has the same date as the birth certificate I had that was coded to whatever the account was, to which whatever they were laundering in connection with Ant Financial was laundered. And it ended up getting stolen when I was in Dallas. Nobody seemed to think this was a problem. Nobody seemed to think I think it's a problem, just so you know.